tough would be an understatement. This team had serious expectations coming into this year. At least that's what they projected on people.
Yeah, and even people that aren't Sens fans, like our pal Scott Wheeler from The Athletic tweeted out, this has to be the best roster to perform this poorly. Like most of the time when teams are this bad and in this position in the standings, it's not an accident. The general managers are setting these teams up to fail a minor setback for a major comeback. That's what general managers are thinking, right? But that was not the thinking for this season and for this roster and for the amount of money that Michael Andlauer not only paid to buy the team, almost $1 billion, not a big deal, but the amount of money he's paying to keep this team on the ice and the payroll and to be in this position. Sheesh.
Super frustrating. So how do you fix it quickly, Pilsy?
There is no quick fix, Ross. This is like, it's not like there's like a magical surgery that they can just do one thing, they're out. There's going to be multiple things that they're going to have to take a look at here. First and foremost, hashtag goalie friendly show, but the goaltending is bad, terrible, awful, the worst. Get a thesaurus out and look up all the terms for bad. Like just, there's no excuse. It's downright embarrassing, the goaltending. So you got to figure the goaltending out first. Tough to do when you've got a goalie that has 4 more years at $4 million in Eunice Korpisalo, and a goalie in Anton Forsberg that has another year on his deal, and a goalie in Mads Søgaard that isn't quite ready to make that next big step, or at least the step that the Ottawa Senators would need him to take next season, in my opinion. So they're going to have to move out one of Forsberg and or Korpisalo. Like one of those guys has to go. If they run it back with those two, I don't know what they're thinking, unfortunately. And it's too bad because fan bases of other teams will remind us, Ross, that me and you had confidence and optimism when it comes to this goalie tandem. But
Fact.
It's just not there. It's not there. It's plain to see, and they're going to have to figure something out, whether it's through buyouts or trades. I'm not sure, but the goaltending is the key number one issue. No questions about it.
Well, they have the dead last save percentage in the National Hockey League. They're actually tied a 5-on-5. They're actually tied with, ironically, the Tampa Bay Lightning, who have been able to outscore their problems. Unfortunately, Ottawa doesn't have anyone who has over 100 points like Nikita Kucherov will have this year to be able to fix it. Now, our good friend Tyler Ray will be on in a little while, probably right around the end of the season, and discuss. He's always got those threads on Twitter. We like that. The defense minister. One note that he made in his little thread the other day is when you buy out both Eunice Korpisalo and Travis Hamonic, you're going to free up $4.4 million in cap space for next season. There is the wrong end, the long end, whatever you want to call it, of Korpisalo, where eventually you're going to be going about 1.4 million against your cap for a number of years. But in the initial future, for the first 2 or 3 years, you're actually getting a credit for that. So that's, to me, a no-brainer. It's unfortunate, but they
Buying
also have
Korpisalo, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't think so?
I
mean, you can fix around him. Like their defense is not good enough. Every time we have Meth on the show, I watch then the next game, like JBD, Brandstrom as a third pair. They can both move the puck all right. Neither of them are going to be physically imposing. And is Tyler Clevin ready? I hope so by the time the next training camp goes around. But look at the defensemen who are added to playoff teams going for a run. There's a reason why nobody paid the price for Eric Brandstrom, but teams are adding a Colin Miller, a Joel Edmondson, guys who are bigger, stronger, physical. Tanev goes for a first-round pick, one of the only defensemen to go for a first-round pick. Like these are the types of players that teams covet, and there's a reason why Ottawa is getting pushed around and allowing these. And it's funny because these aren't high danger chances. Ottawa's actually among the league leaders, at least Korpisalo is, in facing medium danger chances, because they're not giving up the odd man rushes like they were back in the DJ Smith era, but they're allowing players to just get way too good of looks in their own zone. So as much as I agree, Korpisalo has not been good enough. He's the lowest goals saved above expected in the National Hockey League this year. It is no matter how many games you filter by, he is dead last. There's 69 goalies that have played 10 or more games. He is dead last, 69th of 69 in goals saved above expected. Now, that's one
Oh
thing,
my
but
God.
I do think that you could insulate him a lot better. And if you don't want to bite the bullet this year, if you want to run it back one more time with him, then they better do some major surgery on the back end, because up front, one goal against San Jose, not good enough, but you're expecting Timmy to produce more next year. You're expecting guys to bounce back. The defense is what I'm looking at, and like they could move 5 out of 6 guys. Anybody but Jake Sanderson and Artem Zub, I will say, just because he brings that
Keep
element.
that
And
top pair too.
if you trade him, you're looking for him. It's that easy. But if they move on from any or all of the other 5 guys, including Hamonic, it wouldn't be the end of the world, because, and look, Steve Staios was a defensive defenseman when he plays. He knows that this is not the way to win games.
So Ross, this is a mix of what I think they should and might do. I think buying Corpusalo out, it at least gets rid of that problem. So it's not a bad decision in my opinion, but at the same time, I gotta believe, and this might, Red Wings fans, go ahead, start clipping this right now. But
Oh, they got their own things to worry about, buddy.
yeah, that's true. But
5 straight losses, out of the playoffs as we stand right now.
oh man, what a shame!
But who's counting?
What a shame! What a shame! But I gotta believe that Jonas Korpisalo will not be the 69th out of 69th goalie next season.
Yep.
Is that fair?
I think so. I think he could at least be top 55.
Yeah. So I think it's too early to fully buy out and move on. I think you got to try to give him one more season to at least get closer to average. Do I think Jonas Korpisalo is going to be number 1 starter and he's going to take this team to the promised land? Absolutely not. And even when they signed that deal, I tried to be as cautiously optimistic. I wasn't very positive about it, but they got a goalie. Let's see if it works. Now, we thought the tandem situation was going to work. I think if you're going to do that, give Jonas Korpisalo another year. You got to find a way to move Forsberg out. It's unfortunate. I like Forsberg. I had faith in him, but I just don't think he's the guy. I think what you got to try to do is take a gamble on a goalie that you can get for $1 million, like a Scott Wedgwood, Alex Lyon, a Stolaires, like one of those guys that's going to be cheap, and maybe you find lightning in a bottle and he can support Korpisalo, because he can't spend money trying to insulate it. I don't think that's going to work. Then another thing, so that's goaltending. Again, that's not an amazing way to figure this out, but I think it's a short-term solution to try to find something better. And then you spend that little extra money you have finding a defensive forward. I know you talked about the back end a lot, Ross, and I agree with you, but I do think you need one of those guys who can play on your third line that's going to shut things down on the other team. And I'm not talking about a Gambrell or a Rourke Chartier. I'm talking more about a guy that has more pro experience and also can impact offensively as well. Is he going to get 30 goals? No, but he's going to get 15, 20 goals while also being a defensive plus guy. So you need a guy like that.
Like a Nicola Wall would be a good example. I'm looking at good teams here, like obviously Chandler Stevenson, but he brings more offense. He's probably more of a top 6 guy. Like I'm looking at the good teams and what they have. The name that's been rumored, obviously, is Scott Lawton. Like that would fit the bill.
Yeah.
Somebody who at least like adds another layer of leadership and another layer of depth, but a guy who can actually produce. All due respect to Mark Kastlick, Parker Kelly, but you could probably be all right with just having one of those guys in the lineup.
Agreed. Yep.
I feel like you had a fourth line, especially when you have McEwen, where it's like 3 guys who are like, yeah, they crash and bang, but like there's no presence. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like another team is not looking at the board. Like even like think of when Toronto added Wayne Simmons. He's on the 4th line. Yeah, he's not producing a whole lot, but he's still a name and a guy who like you look at him and it's like a respect factor around the league. A lot of teams are checking the game notes and looking at the Sens 4th line and being like, no clue there. Even the 3rd line. It's going to be Boris Kachuk, Ridley Gregg, and Dominic Kubalik tomorrow.
Yikes. Yeah, so, and no Kubalik, that's going to free up money to do that as well. And then I really think unless you get first overall in this draft, you go for a defenseman and you hope that guy can either step in next year or the year after, right? You try to shore up your defense, especially. I'm convinced the only way to properly get right shot defenseman is through the draft. You're going to have an opportunity to do that in this upcoming draft with a high pick. And that's how you work, and you slowly build from there. Now, people might be listening to this and being like, Pilsy, getting $1 million goalie, a third line defensive winger, and a rookie defenseman is not going to fix this team's problems. And you're damn right. You're damn right. That's totally fine. You can come at me with those takes. That's fine. But the piece that I haven't mentioned yet, the proper coach.
Yeah.
A proper coach can solve so many issues. If you have the right pieces in place, it's like making a meal at a restaurant. You could give a guy all the ingredients, but if they're not a great chef, they're not going to be able to put those ingredients together and make a flavorful, perfect dish. So you need the guy that can use all those ingredients properly and that can put out a winning product. And they're going to have to find the right coach. It's going to be so huge for turning this team around without doing major surgery and taking 3 steps back to take 1 step forward.
And a big part of coaching is special teams. In Ottawa this year, 27th on the power play and 30th on the penalty kill. If you're not going to get a whole lot of saves and you're going to play high-scoring games, your power play and penalty kill better be good. And those are, to me, the biggest reasons why Ottawa has not been good enough this season.